Hello, so today we are going to learn about very important part of Python or any programming language is object-oriented programming. Okay, so this is the very first uh, video where I will be talking about object-oriented programming. Python is a multi-paradigm programming language. It really supports different programming approaches. So one of the popular approach to solve a problem is by creating objects. And this thing is known as object-oriented programming. Now, if I talk about object, it has two things, two characteristics. One is attribute and another one is behavior. Like let's say human, let's say if we are an object, then the name, age, color, these are the things, height, which are treated as attributes. And if I talk about behavior, like let's say how good we can sing, how good we can dance, how good we can code. So these are all the behaviors. Okay, there is also something which you should know, that is the concept of dry. Basically, OOPS concept in any programming language focuses on creating the reusability of the code. Like when you will be creating softwares, you would mostly be reusing and using the code again and again, so that you don't have to really write big codes. Okay, so this DRY is don't repeat yourself concept. Okay, so we have something known as class as well. So if I talk about class is a blueprint for the object. So let's say we make a class. So let me just simply name this oops, oops.py, refactor, rename. This is the first thing which you should know, that is about classes. Okay, so classes, let's say we can think of a class as, I'll take class person. Okay, and I pass it. Okay, now we can definitely, like over here, person is the object. Okay, let me just write down P in caps, it looks better. Yes, so it can contain all the details about what's the name of the person, what's the size of, like, height of the person, what's the age of the person, everything. Okay, now if I talk about this word over here, that is class keyword is used over here, and right now it's empty class, which you see in front of you. Now from the class we can construct the instances. An instance is a specific object created from a particular class. So now let's talk about what an object is. So object is an instance of a or instantiation of a class. Okay, so when the class is defined, only description for object, like description for the object is defined, therefore it doesn't take any memory or storage. Okay, so what do I mean by this right now is that if I need to create the object of the class person, I'll just simply write down object is equal to, definitely I'll write this, and PE person, and I'll just give these brackets and we are done. So this is how we create the object of the person class. Okay, so I made this. Now let's do something. Let's write down in person how to. I think this is a wrong example, but no, none of the examples are wrong. But let's take the example of a car. That would be much better, I guess. Car. We can classify car at least. Okay, so now we were talking about creating the class and object in Python. Now, if I talk about car, definitely, what's the next thing you need to do? We need an initializer. Okay. What is an initializer? Basically, before initializer, I guess I should talk a little bit about okay, def. I'm initializing it. So init, I'll use this init self. Okay, let me keep it to the person. Okay, I'll just see what to do next then. Okay, self. Okay, I need two things right now, name and age. All right, so I'll just do self dot name is equal to name and self dot age is equal to age. That means there are two things which is required to pass over here. One is name and another one is age. Okay, so now if I write down something like, let's say, person one, and here in person, if I write down let's say Simran, my name, and definitely I'll give, okay, let me give a number in the age. Well, I'm 20, just 24, no. Oh yes, I'm 24. All right, person, person 2, person, let me take another, and let me specify the age. And what if I run this? Will anything happen? Any idea? Let's try to run this and see what happens. We don't see anything, right? That means something is happening, but we do not know what's happening. So let's try print person 2 and print person 1. And let's try printing this. It gave me something, but I don't know what this is. Any idea what it is? This is basically giving you where it is stored, right? So now how we will use this? Definitely these are creating objects of person, no doubt, but we need to use this. How do we use this? If we want to use this, we will simply work with person 1 or person 2 dot name and person 1 dot age. Let's try printing this. See, person 2's name is Ankit and person 1's age is 24. Okay, so over here, what's happening is that if you need to access those elements that I have stored over here, you need to, okay, if I write down age over here again, that means it will give me the age of Ankit, the second person's age, right? This is accessing the instance attributes. Okay. So this is about just the init function. Now let's create the method. Okay. Now let's create some methods. That means methods are basically the functions that is defined inside the body of a class. That means these are also functions. But since it is inside the class, we are telling them as they are the methods. Okay. So def, let's say, I'll do, what should I write? What can a person's class have? Not sing, dance. Okay, creativity. Creativity. Okay. Creativity. Self will come in definitely. Now, creativity over here, let's say I'll pass coding. Well, sounds weird, but return let's return a string this is a different kind of a format. Do learn about this as well. I'm writing down few things. Okay, self dot name, and I need coding here. Okay, yes. So that means the name will come here and the coding, whatever I write over here in creativity will come over here. Okay, and creativity, and then I'll write down creativity is different. Now, what can be a characteristic of a, it can be also one more thing, that is gender. Okay, so or maybe you can also mention creativity is one. Okay, let's make gender. Def gender. Self definitely comes in any day. Now, if I write down gender, let me just write down GEN, and let me return just this. Dot format self dot name. Okay, now gender is a, okay, so now we need one more thing, that is gen. Okay, so now this should work. So these are the two different things, and we will add one more thing definitely. But wait, before that, let's just do one thing, that is, already these two are created, that is instance of the object. But now let's call the class, the methods which we have created in the class. So let me just simply print Simran. Let's take Simran, that is person one. person1 dot, what are the two different things which we have done? Gender and creativity. So if I talk about creativity first, I need to pass in something. So nose, I'll just keep in Python over here. Okay. Simran knows Python. And let's print something else also over here for person2. So for person2, over here, I will just write down dot gender and is a, let's pass male. Okay, and let's try printing this again and let's see what it does. Simran knows Python, Ankit is a male. Or I guess it's a boy would be better, but that's okay. That sounds better. But the point over here of telling you this is that we are creating different functions and we are using it when and as we want. Even, you know, if we want in def score. So scores return scores multiply 5. Okay, so now if I try doing this, print person2 dot score, I'll give a 5 over here, and if I try to run this, it gives me 25. That means I can do some formulas also in our function inside the class. That's what I wanted to show you with respect to this, that how methods work, and methods exactly work like the functions which we make. Okay, now there is also something known as inheritance. Okay, just listen to this now. We'll definitely come to these things again, but just listen to this. Inheritance is a way of creating a new class for using the details of an existing class. Okay, now let's say you have a car. Okay, you want to make another car, and what would you do if you want to make another new car and you have already a car present at your home which is not really working because of some of the parts? What you can do, you can just take some of the previous parts and just fit it in here and just add some new features in that car, and then your car is made, right? So that means you're using the previous car to make your new car. That is inheriting the features. The very easiest example, definitely you have inherited some of the qualities, some of the features of your parents. Like for me, my eyes are same as of my dad, and my face cut is same as of my mom. So this is what all people say, that's why I'm mentioning it. So this is what you have inherited from your parents. Like definitely you have something inherited from your parents, right? So whenever the relatives looks at you, they are the first thing which they tell you is this only, that this thing looks like your dad, this thing looks like your mom, hand, eyes, whatever, voice. So this is inheritance, the very real life example which I could give. Now there is something which is known as encapsulation. Okay, so now in object oriented programming, we can restrict the access to methods and variables. So this prevents data from direct modification, which is known as encapsulation. I'm sure you don't know what I mentioned right now. So let's say if you are, okay, let's talk about ATM machine. Okay, ATM machine, what happens? You go give the pin, give the required, like click required buttons, and then if the pin is correct, the money comes out from the ATM machine. But do you exactly know how the ATM machine is working from inside? What is that software doing? How they are taking out exactly that amount of money? No, right? So this is known as encapsulation. That means they have not given you the permission to use the ATM machine from the inside end, that you can find out what's going on inside and then everything you get it outside. Everything has been encapsulated in such a way that you are only required, or you are only given that much of permission which you require, or else you can just go and check someone else's account and take out some money from there, right? I'm not saying you would do that. I'm saying just this can be what thieves can do, right? If they know how everything is working. So this is how encapsulation is done, that whatever is required, you are only allowed to see that, so that no one can change anything. Now, there is something which is also known as polymorphism. Okay, so polymorphism is an ability to use a common interface for multiple forms of data. Okay, like suppose we need to color a shape. So there, what we'll do there, like there are multiple shape options, like it's a you have rectangle, you have square, you have circle, you have all of it, right? However, we could use the same method to color any shape. That means you do not have to write down the code of coloring every time. You just need to write down the shape and fill it with the color. This is known as polymorphism. Okay, so these are the few things which you should know when we are working with object-oriented programming. There is also something known as abstraction. Okay, so I would really like you to go through whatever we have done in this video. Try to jumble these up, what we have done. If you want to make new methods, try making them and explore it out. We will make one project in the next video where you would be completely understanding how this object-oriented programming is working all together. So that's it for this video, and let's meet in the next video and create a good project related to object-oriented programming. Have a good day. Bye-bye.